and the dates we talked about were the 26th, this Saturday, or February 16th. And I don't think we're gonna make it for the 26th. And I actually have a conflict on the 16th now, so I don't know if we can do a doodle poll or what we want to do, but I think it's important to have the discussion.
Me too. I just can't remember how many hours were we locking off?
I think we're talking like 10 to 3:30 or something
Okay.
like that.
And we were going to order food?
Yeah.
Yes. Bring food or something, but, okay. Do you want to just send out a doodle poll? Rebecca?
I also just wanted to, and I don't know how we followed on this, but get some more clarification in terms of what we're going to cover and how that needs to come together. A lot of the plans and stuff that we have are already there, so, because it's not, I would need to assess staff availability and how that would work.
So, I have a question about that. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about it now, but
Are we making a motion to put on a future
Yeah.
agenda? Because that would meet my needs in terms of.
we already,
We
we
made
don't
the
need it on a
decision.
future agenda because we already gave direction to schedule it. We just, the dates don't work, so I think you're just updating us, correct? Did you, oh, I forgot about that. Did you not want to have this meeting?
No, I wanted to check back into around those because I realized that I might have misunderstood. And I was just rethinking of the amount of time and then what the scope of our discussion, and then realizing that also that we gave that direction when 2 trustees weren't present, and it is a big time commitment outside of meeting time. So it just made sense to me to bring it back to.
Well, let me ask the board something, and I just want to be really careful as we're a new board process going forward, but even if we have a quorum, we can conduct business, and so I want to be sensitive to everyone, but I don't want to bring back items for that reason, because not everybody was here. I just, village board can act and give direction when there's a quorum, so I, just in the future, I don't want to rehash things to hear what the other people, it's just not efficient.
Well,
But-
I mean, there's a formal process
Yeah.
where she can move to reconsider. so-
Yeah, and I think I wrote that in the email, that, right, Rebecca, and I said, I think if we gave direction, we can move to reconsider.
We just didn't take a fiction, we gave direction, we didn't take action. So I was not sure on the process, and,
Yep.
you know, and right, if we schedule it and people don't feel like they can make that commitment, they won't come, so.
Right.
But if we talk about it, we might get some consensus and get more done, so.
Okay,
I don't,
just
is there a
saying,
formal process, am I supposed to, I need some direction here.
I mean,
I don't want to
I would
take our
appreciate
time.
just talking about a date.
and we're gonna send out a doodle poll, correct? If there's something else, go ahead, Trustee McKay. So is it like the too much of a time commitment? I mean, what was the?
Yeah, and I think the scope might, I just want to be, I realized I wasn't clear on the scope because I didn't want to limit our sort of legislative process, and especially now that we're going back to committees, it may take care of some of the things that we wanted to discuss. So again, I just realized, you know, that I might not have been clear. And I wanted to be transparent about that with my board members. But I also don't want to take up valuable agenda time at a future point if that I can participate on whatever level I feel comfortable with if you keep the same scope. And if you change the scope, if we want to rediscuss that, revisit it, we can do that.
Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, I think we kind of, in our cow discussion, we sort of got into like, you know, if it's something that we prioritized, then we treat it this way. But we really never did finalize our prioritization last year. And I think my anticipation was that Rebecca would come with a work plan, and that we would kind of be able to look at the work plan and use that as a basis for prioritization. But I feel like it's like a larger policy discussion, not necessarily that there would be a prioritization on capital projects that we could go A, B, C, D, but that Rebecca and Leanne would come out of that meeting knowing, well, number one for me is road reconstruction, and after that is DPW yard, and, you know, have a sense of where we all fall on that issue. Even on like TIF and development, I mean, I don't know where the votes are, to tell you the truth at this point, because we, as the seven of us, have never really had a conversation
But that's
about.
not capital.
I know,
Okay.
because it's more than capital, it's capital and it's also service levels. And, you know, you can divvy it up in any different variety of ways, but I think there's a number of areas where we haven't had a global policy discussion, and we haven't finished prioritization. So I sort of feel like a very important step before staff can execute this wonderful plan is where's the board in this? What do we feel about some of these things? So that's the discussion we need to have.
But the one that we're setting up, thanks for clarifying, I believe was for capital. I mean, if you look at the list of documents, it's not TIF, it's resource, it's our plans and it's our capital plans.
Well, I mean, we talked about a subcommittee trying to sort of plan it and organize it and figure that out. So, I mean, I think there's, you know, I mean, on the development issue, before staff gets involved in negotiating agreements and CDA spends a lot of time, you know, I think it would benefit the entire
Yes,
organization
but
to
I-
have an idea of where our board falls on
Yes,
things.
I just didn't think that was the intent of the Saturday meeting.
I think the intent of my intent of the Saturday meeting was to try to cover multiple areas.
Oh.
Starting with our overall capital needs, and just so everybody has a sense of the big picture, not just limited to what's in the long-range financial plan, but the big picture of everything that needs to be done. And I thought having a discussion about service levels was important too, and development issues.
I think that's a series of meetings, but
So that was part of, you know,
yeah,
as I was like
mean,
looking at
you'd
the
have to
practicality
look
of
at
it.
when you plan.
I was trying to get a better grasp about how I could be most effective with the group, and I'm also and I just need to share with you that like, I also need to have a better idea so I can share with you whether I can be there or not. So I'm the only one home in my household on Saturdays, those of you who are not aware. My husband works on Saturdays, at 10-hour days, so.
Sundays.
Pardon?
What about Sundays?
Yeah, it's actually the only day we have as a family,
Okay.
because if I'm here, he is at work. If I'm at home, he is, not that any of this matters to you, but I just wanna, I need to be able to plan, because that's, you know, and I'm sure all the rest of you do, just because they don't. So, knowing not my situation doesn't drive it, but I wanna be helpful, right? And I wanna, I'm a team player, and I wanna know, how to work with this, but I'm also gonna get that question from staff in terms of what's the expectation, or how much do we think we're gonna realistically accomplish? Because I don't wanna ask people to come in if we're not gonna be able to get to the last half. And those things can be worked through. So again, the purpose of me talking about it with you is just because I wanna try to get a better handle on it, so I can try to find ways to make it efficient, recognizing the different people that I'm working with in order to do that. That's it.
So maybe we should meet and videotape it, and staff can watch the videotape.
And trustee Amenta, that is absolutely an option. I just want to reiterate that I am not trying to be difficult in the scope of sharing my situation.
Yeah, no, if we need something from her, I think she's just asking, what would it be?
You know,
So,
I just
right,
want to,
yeah,
I just want
I
to let
agree.
you know, I am not trying to be difficult or.
Yeah, so what I found, and I don't know if this is the right time, but the list, could we put it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
For Tyler's sake, what's the specific item for future consideration being proposed right now?
Right now, we got that.
Scheduling of.
What I heard in our committee discussion was that it would be an item that, as board members, you could bring up something if you want it to be considered on a future agenda, like what we're doing right now. And that if something's brought up in advance, whether that's before the meeting, like a Thursday before the packet comes out, or at a previous meeting, we would have it itemized out under item 11, stating
I understand
for the
that,
board to vote if you want to have it added to a future agenda item.
but this has already been given direction
We
before
already-
we make
yeah,
this
we already
change. So
decided to do this.
so
It's just-
I understand that, so the question right now is, do we need to have a conversation about what the scope of that meeting would be, and what kind of materials we need to collect, and what we want to, is there any direction for staff? I'm okay with that, and that would be,
Being a future agenda item.
I guess so. I guess so.
I think, question, ask me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the fact it's not listed as a future agenda, or as an agenda item right now, how much discussion should we be having on it? So it needs
We're
to
having
be,
too much.
yeah, so we just need to add it to a future agenda item to define what the scope would be. We can talk about dates, is that what you're saying?
Okay, so do you want to make a motion then?
I'd like to make a motion to consider the scope and goals of, and would it be a committee of the whole regarding capital needs? I'm actually not sure how to word this.
Yep.
Because I don't want to say that I'm committing to the entire scope, because that's what I think I would like to look at. So,
You'd like to place it on a agenda in
to consider next steps in preparing for prioritization. Because that's how this conversation started, correct, Rebecca?
It's actually a budget conversation. You had a budget meeting, correct? Well, with Mark? I don't remember.
We were reviewing the annual planner. It came up, thank you, I had to think about it for a second.
Yeah.
'Cause I couldn't remember.
I wasn't there.
We have a lot of meetings. It was actually, it occurred at a village board meeting, and it was in the discussion of reviewing the annual planner and the dates, because we had outlined for purposes of planning for the year, and to get everyone thinking correct on people's schedules, what those dates were, and we're also sharing some, adjustments to that based upon the feedback that was heard from the last session. So it was, I think in the scope that was talked about, it came up as a part of scheduling, but also, desire to review and.
Review what we have. I mean, we had 2 new trustees, there's all these, I'm pretty impressed by the list that I received so far of just the plans out there. I mean, it would take a long time to read them all, but it's great to have that and to get a summary of what policies are out there, to know if we want to maintain them, to update them, and prioritize them in the future.
So I would make a motion to reconsider our discussion of the annual planning process to determine needs to review plans and policies prior, or as part of that process.
Second.
Want to read that back?
Do I have it?
Yeah, we did. I get where you're going. You want to help us, Nathan?
I have a clarification question. I think you meant, if I understood it correctly, you reconsider as in not reconsider an actual previous vote, but just to reconsider the topics to be discussed at
Yeah, because we
the
didn't.
meeting, right? So you're not using that as a term of art, you just mean it in the general sense. Is that?
Well, I was told that I had to reconsider it because, we didn't take official action, it was direction. But to your point, President Rosick directed that it needed to be a reconsideration. So whatever it takes to get it back on the agenda to discuss and determine next steps in the annual planning
But
process.
if we have a unanimous agreement, me and Rebecca will just put it on it.
By the
next
next
meeting.
meeting.
How's that? We don't even need it on
This
future
is what I
agenda.
have, you let me know how you want to tweak it.
Right, we can just
Trustee
stick it on there.
McKay moved to add to a future village board agenda to consider further discussion of the village's annual planner and prioritization process, which will incorporate a scope to review the village's plans and studies.
Okay.
What do you want to
We could
tweak?
shorten it to determine topics that need to, I like what Nathan was saying about, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the word of the motion. Take off the last part about the scope. I think that's not
Okay,
helpful.
so what if I just have that you're moving to consider further discussion of the village's annual planner and prioritization process?
Any further discussion?
So this will get us to a point where we're going to discuss, what we're going to talk about the special meetings.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1. Any other future agenda items for today?
Are we,
Mhm.
are we going to be discussing the results of the last election with 80% of the people who came out to vote favoring legalization of marijuana and what it would mean for a municipality and the decriminalization or reducing our fine?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Unless everyone thinks now we need to make a formal motion, and that has already been asked to be a future agenda item, and there was no, and so it's on my list, and we were gonna schedule it for the next meeting, on the agenda for discussion. And unless there's any objections, I don't think we need to make the motion again, I mean, make the